PriceLabs is a revenue management solution that combines human control with best-in-class automation and market data to maximize revenue and occupancy. Our system tracks vacation rental and hotel data from around the globe to identify trends in bookings and demand. So, with our dynamic pricing service, you get automated daily rate and minimum stay updates based on market data and your listing's own performance. In addition to our dynamic pricing service, PriceLabs offers two other products, which are Portfolio Analytics and Market Dashboard. Portfolio Analytics is a real time reporting system to help you spot trends in your bookings, track listing, and view portfolio level metrics. This is very helpful in generating reports, formulating strategy based on your listing's performance, identifying underperforming listings, and being able to compare your prices against the market. This is included at no cost with your dynamic pricing subscription, provided that it is supported by your PMS or channel manager. On the other hand, Market Dashboard is a fully automated personalized dashboard that tracks vacation rental data from any location in the world, which you can create even without having an actual listing. Market Dashboard allows you to enter an address and search radius for any location around the globe, and we will return information on bookings, occupancy, advertised rates, revenue, listing amenities, policies, and fees. These data are from active Airbnb and VRBO listings in the area you've defined. This is very helpful not only for comparing your listings pricing and performance against a wider market or very specific comp set, but also for researching new market for investment purposes. So let's talk about our main product, which is dynamic pricing. PriceLabs dynamic pricing provides automated rate updates based on market trends and the performance of each listings. In high demand periods, we will increase pricing to maximize opportunities for high rates. And in low demand periods, we will drop rates to stay competitive and increase the chances of booking. Additionally, we take occupancy into account and we will raise or drop rates depending on how fast or slow a listing is booking. A huge advantage of PriceLabs is that we connect directly with Airbnb, Verbo, and Howfee, as well as more than 70 property management systems and channel managers, which allows for seamless automatic rate updates. But how exactly do we come up with the rate recommendations? Each nightly rate recommendation starts off as a single base price for a listing. The best way to think about the base price is your average daily rate for the entire year, around which your daily rates will be fluctuating. That said, reducing or increasing the base price will reduce or increase the price recommendations proportionally. From the base price, PriceLabs automatically applies trends such as seasonality, day of the week adjustment, lead time, and neighborhood demand detection to optimize your rates for the current and future market conditions. After optimizing your rates for the market conditions, PriceLabs looks at your listing's internal occupancy to make sure you're getting booked at a solid pace. If your listings ever get fewer bookings than expected, PriceLabs will automatically decrease your listings prices to make sure your pacing stays on track. If your listings get more booking than expected, we automatically increase rates to make sure you aren't leaving money on the table. By using up-to-date market data, PriceLabs is able to re-optimize your rates on a nightly basis to make sure you're charging the perfect amount for your property, which will lead to the highest revenue possible. Now that we know how PriceLabs come up with rate recommendations, let me show you how to add your listings. When you first sign up and log into your PriceLabs account, you will be taken to this welcome page where you will be seeing an Add Listings button. Click on that button and a pop-up will come up where you can select between PMS or Channel Manager, or Airbnb, Verbo, or Howfee. If you are using a PMS or Channel Manager to manage your listings, you can go to the PMS or Channel Manager section and search for your PMS from the drop-down. Otherwise, go to Airbnb, Verbo, and Howfee section and select the booking channel that you want to connect to. Once you select a PMS or booking channel, enter the required login credential or keys to import your listings. If you're not really sure how to get these details, you may refer to our KB article for the detailed instructions or recommendations by clicking on the Help button at the bottom right corner, selecting Knowledge Base, and searching for the integration instructions. Just keep in mind that we cannot see any sensitive account information from the platforms you're connecting. Entering your credentials simply allows PriceLabs to connect with the platform for data and pricing purposes. Also, we encourage you to use our knowledge base to search for the integration instructions specific to the platform you are connecting. This is because some of the platforms require specific steps to enable the connection. You can also import listings from as many accounts as you want. Let's say you're a property manager who manages two Airbnb accounts, you can definitely connect both accounts to PriceLabs. You can import listings from multiple channels or PMS. Let's say you have one property listed on both Airbnb and Verbo. You can directly connect both to PriceLabs. However, if you are using a PMS or channel manager, you no longer need to directly connect your booking channels. All you need to do is to connect your PMS or channel manager to PriceLabs, and all booking channels connected to your PMS are expected to receive our rates. After importing your listings, you will be taken to the pricing dashboard. From your dashboard, you can see your imported properties from all the different accounts you've connected to PriceLabs. You will notice multiple columns and filters, as well as a search field that you can use to quickly find listing you want to look at. This is very helpful if you manage a dozens of listings. The listing name is the imported name of your listing from your booking channel or PMS. If you wish to change your listing name on PriceLabs, you'll have to do it directly on your booking channel or PMS. Clicking the listing name or the review prices button will take you to the calendar view of your listing. Customization group is a useful feature if you have multiple properties. Assign each listing to a group so that you can work on a group of properties in one session and be able to apply customizations in bulk. Next is tags. Examples of tags could be anything you fancy. Location is a common one, but users also use it to list address of the property so they can find it quickly with the search function. You can enter tags on the Manage Listings page by clicking on Dynamic Pricing from the top and selecting Manage Listings. You can also see columns for minimum price, base price, and maximum price. The listings health is a quick snapshot of how your listings are doing in the next 7, 30, or 60 days. The number shows the occupancy of your listings, and if you hover your mouse on top of the bubble, you can also see the market occupancy for that same period of time. The color code helps you quickly get to the listing that needs attention. Last sync column give you an indication of when the listing was last updated. And finally, the sync prices toggle shows you the current status of the property in the PriceLab system. If the switch is on and green, we will be updating prices every night. And if it's off and grayed out, then PriceLabs will not be pushing prices to this listing. Now, let's talk about the pricing calendar. This section right here lets you view and edit your minimum base and maximum prices. Next, the base price history displays a table of the changes to your minimum, base, and maximum prices over the time your listing has been on PriceLabs. This save and refresh button allows your changes to reflect in the recommended prices. So if you make changes to your base price, minimum price, and the other customization, you will need to click on this button for those changes to show on the calendar. The Sync Now button can be used to update your prices on your booking channels or PMS right away. Just take note that it can sometimes take up to 15 minutes for the prices to update on your listing. If you wish to initiate a manual sync for multiple listings at once, you can click on Dynamic Pricing and head over to Customizations. Click on the three dots to the right of the account you are syncing and hit Sync Now. Going back, this section displays a summary of the customizations and setting you have in place. Right now, everything is showing default because the listings customizations have not been modified yet, and it's currently using PriceLabs default values. But once you modify the default values, it would look something like this. The edit button gives you access to different features and customizations available on PriceLabs, such as last minute discount, orphan day, day of the week pricing adjustment, and minimum stay settings. Back to the calendar. When you hover your mouse over the calendar, you will see a pop-up with the reasons as to why a price was recommended. The next one is neighborhood data. This allows you to see how other listings in your area are priced compared to yours and where they are located. You can access it by clicking on the tab next to the calendar tab. Basically, neighborhood data helps you answer questions like, Where are similar homes located around me, and what does their pricing and performance look like? How does my pricing and occupancy compare to the market in the coming months? Are there certain dates that are getting booked more than others? Are other listing in your immediate neighborhood increasing prices for peak demand? On the right side, the first set of metrics show you the listings occupancy rates over the given time periods. You can read specific on these metrics by reading through this article. Just below these metrics is a sync switch for this listing, along with the last sync and last refresh times. A sync is when your rates and minimum stays are pushed to your listing, while a refresh is when your rates are updated in PriceLabs only. This drop down allows you to assign this listing to a group. And finally, the date specific overrides lets you override our recommended prices and minimum night restriction with your own values. From then on, we will use this value instead of our recommended prices for those dates. And to see the list of all overrides being applied to this listing, including those from the group or account level, click on Show Date Specific Overrides link. Now that we have our listings imported, we will proceed with setting up the essential items in order to get the most optimal rates for your listing. Let's start with the base price. As previously mentioned, we use your base price as a starting price and we apply all market factors and customizations on top of it. Think of the base price as your average daily rate that you would charge across the entire year. Picking an optimum base price is relatively important for your revenue. So, we do have a base price help tool to help you pick the right base price for your listing. You can access it by clicking on Help Me Choose a Base Price from the Configure Prices section. This first section here will either show recommended or imported. If your listing has just been imported, we do not recommend a base price at first. Instead, with the goal of keeping your prices at a constant pricing level while you transition to PriceLabs, we show an imported option. This is an estimation of what your base price should be so that PriceLabs recommended rates are on average similar to your imported prices over the next 2 months. Now, if your listing has been sinking for more than 13 days, we will recommend a base price based on the performance of the listing in respect to its market, the listing's occupancy, and its past base prices. This section also shows the reason as to why this base price was recommended. Once you get a recommendation after 13 days of syncing and would like to apply it to your listing, simply click on Recommended and hit Confirm Base Price. This market-based section basically allows you to set your base price based on market data. You will be given an option to select which segment your listing falls into. You can either choose from economy, mid-scale, or upscale, which corresponds to 25th, 50th, and 75th percentile prices. The mid-scale level is often a good starting point, but other factors might justify a higher or lower base price. For example, if your listing is new and does not have any reviews yet, it might make a lot of sense to set your base price below the median to attract more guests. On the other hand, if your listing is very high-end and offers a lot of amenities, then it could be safely priced above the median. After selecting the market level or segment, you will need to choose which bedroom categories your listing will be compared to. Simply select the size of the listing that you consider your direct competitors. In some cases, even though a listing has 2 bedrooms, it might still be competing with 1 to 3 bedroom listings in the area. Simply uncheck the ones you'd like to remove from the selection, and your market-based base price will update in this section. You also have a way to fine-tune the market area by utilizing the lasso tool from the map. Simply click on this lasso icon, select an area on the map, and save the area. You will then notice that your market-based base price adjusted accordingly. The next one is custom base price. This allows you to enter a custom base price for your listing and be able to see which percentile your listing will be at. Once you've chosen a base price, the last step is reviewing your selected base price before confirming it. You can do it by checking through the seasonality graph at the bottom and reviewing how your average monthly prices would look like for each month. If everything looks good, simply click on the Confirm Base Price button to finalize and apply this base price. Your calendar will then refresh and your daily rates will be proportionally adjusted based on your new base price. Just a few pointers to keep in mind. We suggest that you revisit your base price every couple of weeks and then every couple of months to make sure you are not under or above the market considerably. When updating your base price, it is a good idea to also consider your listing's own occupancy. In general, if your occupancy is low, it is not a good idea to increase from the current base price. Conversely, if your occupancy is already very high, it is probably not necessary to decrease your base price. When thinking about the base price, do not include taxes or other fees. Those are usually charged on top of your nightly rate. After setting up your base price, it is important to also set up your minimum price. Think of it as the lowest amount that you can allow a booking for, and you should consider even the slowest season while setting this price. The minimum price is the least recommended rate from PriceLabs for the listing, no matter what customizations are applied. On the other hand, the maximum price is the highest price that you set for your listing. Just like the minimum price, your recommended rates will not go above the maximum value set. Many of our users choose to leave this blank to grab the opportunity to get a booking at a high price for really high demand dates or far out date. In case your listing remains unbooked due to the high price, our system will automatically decrease the price as the date gets closer. Now that you've set up your base, minimum, and maximum price, you may be wondering, how does my daily rate compare to the market? You can answer that question by heading over to the neighborhood data. The listing neighborhood data feature is a useful tool for comparing your listing's pricing and occupancy to the general pricing and occupancy trends of the listings in the hyperlocal area or in the neighborhood. Starting at the top right, you can choose to filter the information shown here by bedroom category. Simply move the markers to the bedroom count you wish to view, or move both of the markers to one number to select one bedroom type, and then click Apply. Then the graphs are going to refresh based on what's selected in the filter. The future prices chart shows you the recommended prices from your PriceLabs calendar compared to the current prices of your listing on your PMS, together with the range of the rates for the categories of the listing in your area for the next year. Your recommended prices are the black solid line. The last prices we saw on your PMS calendar are the gray dotted line. The range of daily rates for the other listings in the area are shown in the shaded portion of the graph, with the 25th, 50th, 70th, and 90th percentile rates detailed for each date as you hover your mouse over the chart. If you make a change to your minimum, base, or maximum price on PriceLabs, but have not synced those changes to your PMS yet, you will be able to easily view the difference between your new recommended prices and the last synced prices by comparing the difference between the dotted line and the black line on the future prices chart. If your listing has been on PriceLabs for 60 days or fewer, you can also click the three dots at the top right corner to add your rates before syncing PriceLabs. This is helpful if you want to reference any previous strategies or the pricing that you had in place for holidays or special events. The future occupancy chart shows you the average occupancy in your area for each date over the next year in red, overlaid with any existing blocked or booked dates for your listing in gray. These two checkboxes allow you to include last year data and pickup. When you put a check on the last year data, you will be getting two more lines, which are last year today and last year final. Last year today shows the current market occupancy last year on the very same day. With this data, you can better evaluate whether bookings are coming in slower, faster, or just at the same pace as last year. Last year final basically shows you the final occupancy of the past year. When you put a check on the second checkbox, you will get another line which will show you the pickup. This illustrates how many bookings have come in the market in the last 7 days. The minimum stay setting chart is pretty straightforward. This shows you your listing's current minimum night setting in the next year. The overview chart gives you the exact number of listings by number of bedrooms and shows you the average, low, middle, and high prices for bookings made in the past 30 days. By clicking on this button, the map will show up. This map shows you the approximate location for the listings in your neighborhood, along with the average daily rates for the next 60 days. You can zoom in to see more details on the listing's location and hover over any bubble to see the average rate and other details about this property like the listing name, bedroom count, and the minimum night setting. The color of each dot is determined by the listing's average rate. Next, the Compare Competitor calendar allows you to compare your listing with up to 10 specific listings in your neighborhood. You can do that by clicking on the Pick Listing button first, and you will be able to select up to 10 listings from this drop-down. After you have selected the listing, click on Get Calendar to see your competitors' rates. As you can see, your listings prices are shown in bold, unavailable dates are grayed out, and clicking on the listing name in the table will take you to the listing's booking page. This last chart, hotel data, shows your prices compared to the closest hotels in your area. After talking about how neighborhood data can help compare your listings against the market, let's proceed with setting up minimum stay restrictions. Minimum stay restrictions are used to control how long a booking should be on certain dates. On PriceLabs calendar, once you've set up your minimum stay settings, you will see a crescent moon icon and a number next to it, which basically indicates the minimum stay applied to this specific date. The minimum stay option can be accessed by clicking on the Edit button in the customization section, selecting Stay Restrictions, and turning on Minimum Stay Settings. After turning it on, you will see a bunch of available customizations to manage your minimum night stay. If you are not sure what minimum stay restrictions would work for your listing, you can use our minimum stay recommendation engine, which helps you create minimum stay rules, either short term or mid term, based on the market data of your hyperlocal area. To access this, just click Setting Suggestion Available button, and from there, you have the option to generate either short term or mid term recommendations. Once the data is generated, you do have an option to only select the rules you wish to apply. This drop down right here allows you to select and apply minimum stay profiles. You can create minimum stay profiles by, by clicking on dynamic pricing from the top banner, selecting customizations, and heading over to minimum stay profile. If you want to set up the minimum stay setting for this listing from scratch, you can select custom and be able to modify each of these features. The first one is your default minimum stay rule. This is the default setting that's going to be applied to any dates that do not have one of the special rules. Let's say you want to set up 2-night minimum for the dates that fall into the weekdays and 3-night minimum for weekend. Simply enter 2 and 3 into these boxes. Next one is minimum stay setting for orphan gaps. Orphan gaps are basically the dates that are in between two existing bookings. This lets you specify the minimum night rule that is to be applied for the gaps. In general, you should have a default minimum stay rule in place to be able to turn on this setting. And this setting will only apply if the number of orphan days is less than your default minimum night rule. If you want your orphan days to increase your default minimum stay rule, you can contact our support team via chat or email to enable minimum stay increase for your account. These two boxes let you specify how many days you'd like the system to consider as gaps. So if I enter 1 to 3 nights, our system will treat 1, 2, or 3 night gaps orphan. Therefore, the following rule will apply. In this example, if our system picks up 1 to 3 night gaps, it will set 1 night minimum stay for these orphan dates. If you choose length of gap, then the minimum night rule is going to be equal to the number of days in the gap. So for a 3 night gap, 3 night minimum will apply. For a 2 night gap, 2 night minimum will apply. And for 1 night gap, 1 night minimum will apply. Next is minimum stay for last minute bookings. You can specify a minimum night rule and how many days out from today this should become active. In this example, we set the next 7 days to have a 1 night minimum requirement for weekdays and 2 nights for weekend. This can greatly increase the chances of getting last minute bookings, which tend to be shorter in length. Next one is minimum stay for far out bookings. This allows you to specify a minimum night rule and how far out this should be active. In this example, we have set a 5-night minimum stay for weekdays and 7 nights for weekends, more than 180 days out. This is useful to try and fill up your calendar with longer bookings far out and allow a regular 2 and 3 night minimum in the main booking window. When you click on more advanced options, a few more options are going to show up, namely adjacent day before and after rebooking, and lowest minimum stay allowed. Minimum stay for adjacent day before or after booking simply lets you change the minimum night setting of the dates that are right before or right after an existing booking. And finally, lowest minimum stay allowed. This option is like the minimum price but for minimum stay, which does not allow the minimum stay to go below the specified values. In some cases, you may need to create minimum stay restrictions and add fixed prices for specific dates or events. You can do that by creating date-specific overrides. Date-specific overrides simply allows you to add a manual override on specific dates. You can do that by either clicking and dragging on the calendar or by clicking on this Add button next to Date-specific override to the right of the calendar. The date-specific override will pop up and you will be able to modify the price and stay restrictions. First, you will have to enter the start and end date. Then, under price settings, you will be able to select your own fixed price or adjust our recommended price by percentage. The fixed price can go outside your lowest or highest price boundary since you're entering your own price. Pricing adjustments will no longer apply to a date with the fixed price override in place. You can also have a percentage change on our recommended prices. For example, entering -10 means you want a price that's 10% lower than our recommended price for a listing for those dates. This price will not go outside the lowest or the highest price boundary. This price will continue to be dynamic since our recommendations will incorporate new information and apply last-minute discounts and other adjustments. You can also adjust your minimum and maximum price. It can also be either fixed price or percentage change. You can also set a different minimum stay requirement for these specific dates. Note that these settings can be overwritten in case there's an orphan day gap and you have set up a rule for that. As an example, if you set up a minimum stay of 4 for a season, but a gap of 2 unbooked dates gets created due to other bookings, this gap can be filled with a 2-day minimum if you have set it up that way. These tools are particularly helpful for your holiday or high demand dates where you might want to set a higher minimum stay and minimum price. For users who are managing a bigger portfolio and would like to apply date specific overrides for many listings at once, you can use the account level or group level date specific override. Click on Dynamic Pricing and head over to Customizations, and then click on Account Calendar to the right of the account name and click Add. You can remove a date-specific override by simply clicking on the black line on the calendar and clicking on Remove at the bottom right corner. Now that we've set up your listing, it is time to push these prices and settings to your PMS or booking channels. PriceLabs automatically does an overnight price update for the listing that have the sync prices toggle turned on. So for us to regularly update your rates on your PMS or booking channels, make sure that the sync prices toggle is turned on. In case you make changes to your prices and customizations, you can hit the Sync Now button so that the updates will start to reflect on your booking channels or PMS's calendar immediately. You also have the option to choose what time in your local time zone the automatic sync to happen. Simply click on your profile icon at the top right corner, go to Sync Settings, and select Specify your own time. You will be given an option to choose the time zone, sync time, and how frequent you want the sync to happen. Now, there are a few cases when users prefer to update their prices more than once a day. You do have an option to sign up for a paid additional sync. This is helpful if you manage a large portfolio and use a lot of occupancy-based adjustments. It will also be helpful in making price changes based on your own internal metrics more frequently. We charge $1 per sync listings per month for each additional sync. Now let's talk about mapping listings. Mapping listings basically puts 2 or more listings into parent-child relationships in which settings and customizations from the parent are automatically copied over to the child. So if you're using PriceLabs to update prices and minimum stays for a property on 2 different channels, you would want the 2 channels to have similar rates, and that's when mapping can help. So essentially, mapping helps maintain rate parity between similar listings. It also allows you to set minimum, base, or maximum prices and date-specific customizations on the parent listing, and they will be copied over to the child listings. And once you have mapped your listings together, a reduced subscription rate will apply, so we won't double charge you. We will only charge $1 extra for the child listing. There are several ways on how you can map your listings, but the simplest way is through the pricing dashboard. Simply click on this Map Listing button, select the parent listing from the drop-down, select your child listing from the drop-down, and hit Map Listings. In some cases, users are getting errors stating that there are no child listings found. This happens if the listing location does not match. To successfully map your listings, the location of the parent and the child listing should be the same or within the mapping radius. You will then need to update your listing location on your PMS or booking channels and then reconnect your listings to PriceLabs. After mapping, if you need to make changes on the mapped listings, all you need to do is to make the changes on the parent listing, and this change is expected to be copied over to the child listings. You can also manage channel-specific commissions on PriceLabs. Let's say you want the recommended prices to be 5% higher on Verbo than on Airbnb. You can use the pricing offset customization at account level, and to do that, go to Customizations, click Edit, and go to Advanced Customizations and toggle on Pricing Offset. To unmap listings, all you have to do is to click on Dynamic Pricing from the top, select Manage Listings, go to the Mapped Listings tab, click on the Unmap button on the child listing you want to unmap.